Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to show you how I design an on-screen chat for Twitch with the tool Chat Designer. If you want to download this tool too, you can click the link down in the video description. And don't forget to react to this YouTube video too. Keep in mind that I only show you the designing aspect of this tool in this video. So if you want to know how to set up this tool and import it into OBS at the end, please read the howto.txt file which is provided with this tool. With that said, let's get started. And the first thing I do is I connect my channel. So I connect it like this. I type in my channel's name and then I click on connect. And if it's connected correctly, you can see a red button that says disconnect. With this button you can disconnect your channel again. So now I type something into my chat. So I go to a new tab, go to my channel, and then I go to chat. And I open the chat here. I pop it out and then I have it like this. So now everything I type in here, this is a message, will be shown here. Now I send some messages with different colors. This is a message with a red color / color blue, and another one with a blue color, and I use a emote too, like this. Now we have a few different colors and can design it properly. / color, chocolate, another message, but now this should be a little bit longer so that I can see how it looks like with longer messages. I'm sorry, my English is not the best. Now I have a longer message here, and I changed the size of the preview by typing in 400 pixel and 600 pixel in width and in height, and then we see that the chat gets smaller. And now I start designing. First of all, I ignore these settings. I set them up at the end, except for the direction setting, which I should think about at the start. So do I want to put it on the bottom right, on the bottom left, or on the top right, top left? If I put it on top, I would use the down option so that the messages go from top to bottom. If I place it somewhere at the bottom, I use the up option to let the messages move from bottom to top. And in this case, I use the up option. So now I start designing. I go to username, and the first thing I do is I change the size of this box here. I change it to, I don't know, 15, 15 and 10, 10. And I add a simple background here. And then I can see how big the box is. So that's currently the size of the box, which is, I think it's already good. And then I copy the size settings to the message as well, like this. So I click this copy button to copy these settings, and then I go to the other setting and I can paste it there. And now if I give the message a background, I can see that it has its size and I can change the color of it. But for now I remove the backgrounds again and I start with a background for the chat box. So I click on this chat box, I click on background, and then I add a solid color. And this solid color should have the Twitch color of the user. So I click on this, and then every background is represented by the color the user uses in Twitch. Now I cannot see the username anymore, so I change the username's color to white, like this. And I want to highlight the username a little bit, so I give it a background, solid, and I set it to black and decrease the opacity a little bit. So now it looks like this. I set it to 90. It looks like this now, which is still not that good, but it's only because the background is such a solid color. And also this blue is very ugly. So if someone uses this blue, I mean, it's his choice. I have to make sure that it looks good. So I go to the chat box background again, and I add a linear gradient to it. And I make it go from bottom to top by typing in rotation 0. And I want to add a shadow-like effect, so I change this here to black and reduce the opacity. And now we see it gets interesting. So I reduce the opacity of the first black color, and now it's just a little bit darker. And even the blue looks much better now. So now I add a radial gradient too. I set this to 128. I add a radial gradient, and I set both of these colors to white, and the other color will get opacity 0. And I set the center here of this gradient with the setting tool to x 50% and y 0%. So now it's on top here, and I can reduce this opacity a little bit down, also to 128. And now we have some kind of a lighting effect here. But these messages are still too close to each other, so I increase the spacing of them. I go to the sizing option and I add 20 pixels to the left, 20 pixels to the right, and 20 pixels to the bottom. Now these messages have a bigger spacing and it looks much cleaner. And for me, these corners are a little bit too sharp, so I also add some rounded corners. I go to the border, I click on a corner, and then I set it to, I don't know, to 10 pixels, I think. Yeah, I think this is a good radius here. So I append this to all corners, and then we have it like this. And yeah, I think this already looks great. I just want this corner to be also 10 pixels. So I go to username, I go to border, and I select the border I want to change. It's the bottom left one. I go to this here, and I change this to 10. And now we have this corner round as well. And now I'm at a point where I just experiment with some things. So I try to reduce the sizing of the whole box. So I go to sizing, and for example, I search a position. Should be on the left, should be on the right. I think on the right is good if I put the chat at the bottom right corner, but I still have to look out for one thing. So I go to my chat and I only send an emoji, which is really one happy. And then I see here is no spacing, for example, and I want there to be spacing. So I go to the username settings. I go to sizing, and then I can add some spacing in here, which doesn't increase the size of the box. So I can say 20 pixel, and then it increases by 20 pixel from here. And how you just saw up here, it doesn't change anything because there's already the space. But here where the space is missing, it increases it by 20 pixel. But I think I set the spacing too high, so I reduce this too. I reduce this everywhere to 10 pixel. I think it looks better now. And no, I think I changed it to 15 here. So now it looks like this. That should be enough. Now I can add some extras like a box shadow or a block shadow for this whole message block. I add the shadow. I move it down by 2 pixels in the y-axis, 2 pixels, and blur it by 4 pixels. Now it has a little shadow here. I reduce the opacity of the shadow a little bit, like this. Yeah, I think I go with these settings here. I darken the background of the username a little bit more, so it looks like this. This is much better now. And now I want to add some text shadows to the message in the username by adding some text shadows here. I set it to 1 pixel, 3 pixel. So I started with the username, and we can see here is a text shadow. I'm not sure if you can see this on YouTube, but I zoom in a little and we can see here is a text shadow. And if I reduce it and I move it down further, you can see the text shadow better. And if I increase the blur again, you can see what it does. It blurs it out a little bit, but I keep it at 3 pixel and I keep it at 1 pixel down. And now we have it like this. So I go to the standard size again and I copy this shadow over to the message shadow. So I go to this setting, I click on this and then I edit, and then we can see here's the shadow. So this is just one way on how to create an on-screen chat with Chat Designer. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon.